If you have ever felt like you were doing everything right, or at least everything that you knew to do, and you still weren't seeing the growth that you were looking for, you need to watch this video because some of the habits that you think are holding you together are actually the very ones that are holding you back. I know, because that used to be me, stuck in these survival broke habits, looking for change, wanting it, but not fully knowing how to get there. And once I unlearned them, that was when I finally saw the change that I had been craving for years. Broke survival habits have nothing to do with how much money you make. These are habits that are built when your life and your focus are just directed at getting through the day instead of building the life that you want. They keep you broke where you are just in this place of lack. And while yes, it could be lacking financial resources, it could also be lacking momentum or time or long-term vision. And all of it keeps you in survival. So for example, maybe you've been in a season where finances have been really tight, or you've been taking care of a loved one, or every day your schedule is super busy but not fulfilling. Your body then registers this as a threat, even though it's not an actual threat. And biologically, it does what it's been programmed to do: protect you. And so it responds by shifting into one of the 4 areas of survival mode: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. In fight mode, you are working your butt off to control everything to keep things from falling apart. However, it's not always in healthy ways, and you find that you are easily irritable or you're very rigid about things. In flight, your whole focus is on escaping whatever it is that you're feeling. So you might find yourself overeating or doom scrolling or overspending, or maybe you start a lot of new projects that you never finish. In freeze mode, you don't do anything because you don't know what to do. So you kind of just bury your head in the sand. Maybe you know that you need to declutter or to pay your bills, but things pile up because you get in this place of analysis paralysis where you're just not quite sure where to start. And then in fawn mode, you're just trying to keep everybody happy. You don't ruffle any feathers, but it almost never leaves space for you to take care of yourself. Survival habits are what help you cope during seasons where you feel stretched or overwhelmed, but what they don't do is help you grow. Life is full of stressors, and we don't always do a good job of appropriately managing them. And so a lot of people tend to live here in this survival space. You do what it takes to get through the day, then you go to bed and you wake up and you do it all over again. And you never get to a place where your life is actually thriving or growing. These habits then affect your peace, your money, your confidence, your discipline. They are what keep your home cluttered and you feeling like you have to hold on to everything. They make it so that you're not willing to dream for and go after more. So to level up your life, you need to stop living by habits that were built for survival and start building habits that support expansion. These are the 8 habits that I needed to break, and I am certain that you will find yourself in at least one of these. And once you deal with them, everything will change. 1, making decisions from fear instead of vision. When you have a broke mindset, you may have a lot of things that you want to do, but you don't do them because you're making decisions based on fear. Earlier in my career as an educator, I remember wanting to go after my master's, but both of my parents had just passed. I had taken on a lot of additional responsibilities, and all I knew was that advanced degrees cost money, and that was all I could focus on. So I didn't do it. Mind you, my school that I was working at the time actually would have reimbursed me the whole thing every semester that I paid, but I was in such a place of fear and lack that I couldn't see it. And that's what survival mode does. It narrows your vision. When you're operating from fear, your brain isn't asking long-term questions. It is scanning for danger. It's trying to prevent loss. And that means that even good opportunities start to feel risky, and so you don't go after them. Survival mode asks, what if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I regret this? Then, instead of choosing what moves you forward, you choose what keeps you safest in the moment, even if it keeps you exactly where you are. It actually took me 6 years of working on myself and getting out of that mindset to go after it again. The change for me was recognizing that growth always comes with this level of uncertainty. And so I started asking myself, does this align with the woman that I'm becoming? If it did, I planned a little bit, and then I had to trust God and myself enough to take that leap of faith. That shift where you go from fear-based decision-making to vision-led decision-making is one of the fastest ways to get out of survival mode. Over-consuming information instead of executing. You know that joke? Well, I don't know if it's a joke, but maybe it's a joke. But where you laugh at people who are watching workout videos while they're sitting on their couch eating something random. This is the exact same thing. Listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, buying planners, investing in courses. Now, I am a big fan of all of these things, clearly, because I'm a creator in this space. But in survival mode, learning becomes a hiding place, and you don't put any action behind all of this information. You keep consuming because it feels productive. It also feels safe. It gives you this illusion of movement without requiring any of the risk. And as long as you're preparing, you don't have to test yourself. You don't have to be seen, and you don't have to risk failure. Survival mode convinces you that learning or buying growth products is progress. But what actually leads to growth is action and execution, doing the things that the people are saying. The thing is, information without action keeps you stuck in this constant state of getting ready where you know what to do, but you don't do it, so nothing changes. To fix this, you have to make a decision to move. And it doesn't have to be big, but you got to do something. And then you have to keep doing some things in that direction. So if you have bought the course or the coaching package or watched the video and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is good information, I need to do it. Girl, stop thinking about it and do it. If you're not going to do it, be honest with yourself. Do not waste your time or your money or your energy, because it is going to lead to more frustration because you keep proving to yourself that you don't keep promises. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you have to want it so badly for yourself that you are willing to push beyond the discomfort, stop making excuses, and do something. I know it sounds harsh, but do know that it's coming from love. Waiting for life to calm down before starting. I'll start when things slow down, when the season is over, when I have more energy. When life is busy, this is an easy cop-out that gives us permission not to do anything more. And I get it. When life is overwhelming, everything in you is looking for relief, not growth. So you convince yourself that later will be easier, that there is a future version of your life, though you're not quite sure when or how, but a future version where everything is calmer, more organized, more spacious, and then you'll begin. Survival mode and broke thinking tells you that you need ideal conditions before you can be consistent. But it doesn't tell you that these conditions are not going to magically appear. That to get to that place of calm, you have to show up through the crazy. And no, it is not going to be easy, but you have to accept it. Back to my master's example, when I finally decided to go after it, my finances were actually still pretty shaky. And on top of that, I was actually working more hours, but I finally realized, if not now, then when? Discipline and the mindset to show up for yourself is not built when life is easy. And I wish that's how it worked, but it does not. It's built when you decide to move anyway, even when things are messy. Waiting for life to get easier keeps you stuck because there is always another reason to wait. Another season comes along. You get tired and you need rest. Something pops up and things start to feel inconvenient again. But if you are someone who is looking to make some permanent change this coming year and beyond, you cannot wait for chaos to disappear before deciding to move forward. You have to move through that. And once you're willing to do that, you see that life expands to meet you where you're willing to go. You will find that you have energy and resources and focus that you didn't even know existed. And one day you wake up and you realize that your life looks completely different for the better because you decided to move anyway. Hoarding time, money, energy, and or stuff. Survival mode clutters your life. It convinces you that you have to hold on to everything just in case you need it later, just in case you make the wrong decision, just in case letting go costs you something that you can't replace. And because of that, you delay decisions. You keep things that you've outgrown. You say not right now or no to investing in yourself. Here is what I have learned over these years of growth. Wealth is not built by hoarding. Now, yes, some wealthy people are hoarders, and I would argue that they have a broke mindset. You've heard the saying that you can take the girl out of the XYZ place, but you can't take the place out of the girl. So yes, someone can be rich and look good on the outside, but still be stuck on the inside. We don't want that. We want true wealth, the kind that is not just money in the bank, though we do want money in the bank, but not just money in the bank, but peace and clarity and freedom in how you live. That starts by freeing ourselves of scarcity and fear-based attachment and this belief that holding on is what keeps us safe. You have to build that by creating space in your calendar, in your home, in your mind, and in your finances. And the longer you see letting go and creating space as loss, then the longer you delay your freedom. Living in maintenance mode. One aspect of survival mode is maintenance, which just keeps things running. The house, job, schedule, responsibilities, all of it. And to be clear, Maintenance matters. Bills have to be paid. Life has to function, and there is nothing wrong with being responsible. But maintenance does not create growth. You can do everything that you're supposed to do and still feel like something's missing. And that's because survival mode trains you to manage life, not to expand it. All of your energy goes into just sustaining what you have and not building what's next. To change that, you have to start designing your life and creating space for vision, not just responsibility, not just getting things done. Ask yourself, what do I want my life to look like? What are some decisions that I need to make to get there? And then begin shaping your life around that answer. So, for example, you notice that your days are packed with work and errands and responsibilities, but there's nothing on your calendar, nothing listed out in your days that has time for your goals, your dreams, the things that are going to move you forward. Once you recognize that, you intentionally set time for the things that you keep meaning to get to. Or another example, say your house runs, but it's not efficient at all. So you finally decide to deal with the systems that waste your time and your energy instead of just working around them. The idea of this is to do something that gets you out of just maintenance and into actually building your dream life. Avoiding discomfort at all costs. Survival mode sees discomfort as danger. Anything that feels hard, awkward, or uncertain gets flagged as a potential threat and something to avoid. These could be hard conversations, hard workouts, hard decisions, all of it. Like I said before, these are not actual threats, but our body still responds the same way, and we have to train it to not do that. It is really important to get out of that because over time, comfort becomes our ceiling rather than our floor. Instead of being the base, like the foundation that you grow from, it ends up becoming this invisible line that you don't cross. And so you end up building a life that feels safe, but it doesn't make you happy. It's not fulfilling. Avoiding discomfort may feel very protective in the short term, but you will never grow in those spaces where you're not challenged and you're not stretched. You will just stay in the same space. I read all of my comments, and I've gotten a few of them that particularly broke my heart, where people are trying to get me to see and understand all of the reasons why their situation prevents them from being able to move forward. And I'm not saying that life isn't hard, that you don't have a lot going on. Maybe life has dealt you some particularly harsh blows. But I am saying that using that as a reason to not push yourself and expect better and see where you can move differently is an act of staying in your comfort zone. And the crazy thing about being in your comfort zone is that it's not always comfortable, but it's what you know. And because you know it, you keep going back to it and you stay in this holding pattern, even when it's not working for you. You won't think or open your mind to creative ways to do things differently because your whole focus is on protecting what it is that you already know, to the point that you cannot see a different way. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the entry point to growing and to building self-trust and to seeing yourself do things that you have never done before. I want you to ask yourself, where am I accepting comfort over growth? And then take a leap of faith. Don't do something reckless or feel like it needs to be perfect. Just take the next right step in the direction forward. This is how you're going to start breaking out of that holding pattern. Tying self-worth to productivity. When you're in survival mode, it is easy to tie your value to how much you do. This is how that mindset can linger long after you have moved beyond an overextended season. Very similar to the comfort zone, you've gotten very used to doing a lot and not focusing on you. So actually having time to rest or to think can feel like something is off. Society, especially here in America, has conditioned us to believe that life is about climbing and clawing and grinding and pushing your way to the top, sacrificing yourself in the process, and then maybe enjoying peace at retirement if you've earned it, which gets us in this feeling where we're afraid that if we're not constantly doing, then we might be overlooked or passed up or replaced or forgotten. Maybe some people find joy in that, but for me, that's never really set well. I filter everything through a privileged mindset. And when I talk about that, I mean this belief, this really deep belief that you are worthy. You believe that a good life is for you, that you can have access to it. And the way that you show up for yourself is a reflection of that belief. It is not about being better than anybody else. It is not about how you look. It is not about how much you have. It's not about being entitled, but it is simply about believing and being grounded in who you are. And for me, who who God is and what it is that he can do and how he sees me, and deciding to show up and act in ways that reflect that belief. I learned that privilege doesn't mean earning your worth through exhaustion. You show up out of who you are, not out of this need to perform. And it was so freeing because it helped me to see that I don't need to prove my value by doing more. I'm going to do things in excellence and to the best of my ability because that's who I am. And all the while, I'm protecting myself by setting boundaries and honoring my limits and recognizing that rest is also holy. Trying to control everything. Control feels safe in survival mode. I happen to know quite a bit about this. Many times we confuse control with leadership, and it's not the same thing. Control is a coping mechanism where you feel the need to single-handedly bring order and structure to chaos, and you will do some strange things not to fall off the ledge. You're so used to holding everything together, and so control feels like the only way to catch problems before they happen. You plan, you manage, you anticipate, less out of preparation and more because you are terrified that if you don't, things are going to fall apart. So I haven't fully mastered this, but I have worked really hard to unlearn controlling everything because it is exhausting having to be the one to make everything go right. Also, as a believer, I saw that this need for control really just strained my faith because trusting God requires releasing this illusion that everything depends on me. My need for control limited what I could receive because I wasn't trusting God with all of the affairs of my life. So there was no room for support or rest or provision that was there waiting for me if I just let go. The balance of this is being able to take responsibility without feeling the need to carry everything. This allows you to move forward with intention as opposed to fear. When I do these videos, I do like to say that this is not a process that happens overnight. You have had years of thinking that need to be unlearned, but you start unlearning these broke survival habits by teaching yourself that it's okay to grow. Start building confidence and thinking long-term and acting in ways that line up with the person that you're becoming. I really do believe that 2026 is going to be your best year yet if you let it. Will it be perfect? No, but it will be the year that you see your whole life change if you decide. If you want help with this, I invite you to check out my 2026 Declutter Your Life digital planner. I've intentionally thought of ways to build in structure that is going to support you all year long in becoming the version of yourself that shows up, that grows, that gets stuff done, and that walks in privilege and confidence. You can check it out using the QR code on the screen or linked in the description below. Alrighty, my friends, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and share it with somebody else who could use the encouragement. Also, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? I'm gonna need you to jump on that. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next. Bye for now.